computer, but it's not missing on the computer. I'm monitoring the stream, but when I choose view, it does not give me chat as one of the options. Ah, I found it, I fixed it, and everything's back to normal. Okay, great. And I needed less than 5 minutes. Beautiful. And I can see on my laptop that it's working. So let me do one more thing. I've got 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So while I'm talking here, I made a list of tedious people, people that really bother me. So I'm going to go through the list while I'm doing something in the background. You know who really bothers me? Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau. I don't care if they're on the red carpet, and I don't care if they're dating. I don't care, and in fact, I don't think anyone cares. What do you think? Does anybody think anyone cares? No. Okay, you know who else really bothers me? Madonna. There's no comebacks. She's old. She had her day. There's no comeback for Madonna. It's over. Jimmy Fallon. He really bothers me. He's tedious. Sylvester Stallone, Alec Baldwin, Chuck Schumer, Vladimir Putin, and Bruce Springsteen. They're all bothering me these days. I've had enough of all of them. And then my final two, Dave Portnoy. I don't know how that guy got on TV. I like his pizza reviews. That's about it. And Jason Whitlock. I don't think any of you know who Jason Whitlock is. If you know who Jason Whitlock is, type it into the chat. Do you know who Jason Whitlock is? Give me a second. I have one more thing to do and we'll get started. We have a half hour until the Fed. I just have to find something. So we do have two setups for the Fed. We've got an ES trap trade and we have an NQ breakout. And the NQ, if you wanted to, you could do a MNQ. The NQ is a bit more of a challenge. I think the risk on the ES is probably higher in terms of possible money that you're putting at risk. I'm almost there, so bear with me. But our ES stream, with our vetting on that ES stream, the ES trap, the ES stream, it has been a manageable trade, meaning it hasn't got stopped out in 2 years, meaning that it didn't blow through the stop. That's what it means. When we say that a setup on a trap trade has worked or has tested well, it means that it doesn't blow through the stop. It doesn't mean that it's an automatic winner. Okay, that's a whole other issue. Okay? All right, I'm done doing my things in the background. Let's get started. All right, I think everybody believes and thinks that the Fed's going to lower rates. All right, you all can hear me, right? You all can hear me? Nobody knows who Jason Whitlock is. We don't have a lot of sports fanatics here. So he used to be an ESPN. He used to work on ESPN. He was on TV. He was a big star. He was a big star. Now he's kind of like, well, I'm not going to say what he's like, but he's definitely gotten tedious. All right, it's 1:30. The Fed's due to release at 2. It's expected that they will reduce the rates by 25 basis points. I would not be shocked if they didn't reduce the rates today. It would not shock me. I think it would shock the market. I think it would shock a lot of people, but I don't necessarily think that it would shock me because I think deep down the Fed really believes that they're being bullied into reducing the rates. I think when you look at the numbers, what you'll see people, they take a vote, and that vote is public. You know, how many of the Fed governors wanted the cut and how many didn't. I think it will not be all of them. You know what I mean? It's not going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? When everybody agrees. Not universal. Oh, I'm having a brain. My brain's not working. What's that word? Oh my God. I can't believe I can't think of it. Unanimous. I was thinking luxurious. Right. Definitely getting old, people. Unanimous. It will not be unanimous that the Fed agrees on a rate cut. I think there are people that don't think it should be cut. I think there's a few people left in the world who probably agree that there is an issue with inflation. There really is an issue with inflation. And I don't think that can be denied. All right. So we have two setups for the Fed rate statement. This particular statement is a trade that publicly I lost more money on this trade than any trade I ever lost in my whole life in the trade room. I never lost as much money as I did on the Fed, and it was, the date is here, September 2022. Here's what we said. September 2022 was catastrophic, but a black swan event with a high potential for a gap stop. I think that should read September 2022 was catastrophic, a black swan event with a gapped stop. It wasn't potential, that's what it did. It was multiple whipsaws. And in one instant, if I remember correctly, I was down $5,000 in 1 nanosecond. In all the years that, I'm not trying to scare anybody, it's something like that is maybe once in a lifetime that you get a trade that is so out of control. Because all the years I've been trading here, yes, we've had whipsaws, yes, we've had crazy events, but we've never had something like that happen. But then, in order to make it even better, I tried to make it back with a revenge trade, and in about 1 minute, I doubled my loss. So I lost $10,000, and I believe it was online. I think it was online. Maybe it wasn't. And, that was not an easy phone conversation that I had to have with my bosses about how I was doing in the trade room that day with their cash account. That was a very uncomfortable day. And I will give them all the credit in the world. They took it so great. But just like any human would have done, I never stopped hearing about it for about 2 years. They wouldn't stop, even though we made all the money back. And the point is, I don't hear about it anymore. That was, you know, almost 4 years ago. But on the good side, they took it great. Didn't give me any grief. In all seriousness, uh, people understand that things happen when you trade, but truthfully, they never stopped for like 2 years after that, bringing it up, which drove me crazy. Anyway, so that was the breakout trade. That would generally not happen on a trap trade. Trap trades enter the market differently, but, and again, I'm really not trying to scare anyone. I definitely don't expect that kind of behavior. The data feeds, as many problems as we have with data feeds these days, the data feeds are much better today. They're faster, they're more reliable, and it could still happen. You could lose more than you expect. Just like today, Roz made maybe triple what she expected on one of the earnings trades because in a fast market, sometimes the orders don't get filled until it's many ticks past your exit. And that's what happened to Roz this morning. She had price exits, and the market was so fast in our favor that the targets were so much later than what we expected. She got a ton of extra slippage, positive slippage, quadruple slippage. Um, Francis, try logging back in. Log out and log in. Is anybody else having problems with the sound breaking up, or is it okay? Anybody? Give us a heads up. Sounds good? Okay. A lot of new people here. So look, I'm not trying to scare anybody. Not trying to scare anybody. We've been actually making really nice money for a while. Trading's been very good. Every now and then you're going to get a nightmare trade. Every now and then you're going to get a monster trade that rewards you more than you expect. A lot of times you're just going to go through the process. Today felt like a go through the process day. We made money on some opens. We made money on some news. We lost money on some opens. Today was work. Today was hard work. Some days are easy money. Some days are hard money. Some days are hard losses. Um, it's important to just understand the truth, though, that things can happen. You want to be prepared. You want to know what to do in an emergency. And you know what? Since we're talking about emergencies, everybody should have the phone number of if you're trading in cash, you should have the phone number of the Ninja Trader trade desk in your phone. So if something goes wrong and you can't close your account and everything is frozen, your computer froze, your charts froze. And I mean, this hardly ever happens, but here's the number of the Ninja Trader trade desk. You should put it in your phone if you're a cash trader. All right. One other thing everyone should do. Sometimes there's problems. You don't understand why a trade did what it did. You look at your files, you look at things, and you just can't figure it out. If you go to New and you go to Ninja Script Output, it opens up a blank screen. But once you start using any strategy, not just ours, any strategy, it records everything the strategy does in that screen, like a chart of text. Minimize that and then save your current workspace. You should have a trade room workspace. Save that Ninja Script output so that it's part of your trading workspace. Then if you have a trade where you use the strategy or someone else's strategy and you want an answer from them, but you can send us the text that's in that box. And we can sometimes analyze it and figure out what went wrong. Most of the time, in all honesty, and I'm not trying to be a smartass, but most of the time I know what the problem is because of all the experience of doing this for so long. Most of the time, problems with trades are related to markets that are so fast or liquidity is so poor that the software doesn't get the orders placed fast enough for the orders to get sent properly to the exchange. And that's why sometimes you could be left in a trade. Sometimes your orders are hit very late. Sometimes you get filled at the top of the candle. But if there's a software problem, you can send us the text in that file, and I can send it to the programmer for analysis in an emergency if it's really important. Okay? Anyway, today's first setup. Going to trade the trap trade on the ES, trading it in a prop account, a good, decent prop account, full size ES for someone who doesn't want to take the risk, because this is risk and a half today. Any FOMC statement is a high risk report. It just is. It's the nature of it. Even though this is a family money trade, this is a family money trade because it's been making money almost every time we trade this event. We come into this event, this trap trade has been working. 13:59:55 is our trigger. 13 Eastern time, 59:55 is the trigger. All right. Good, Dan. I'm glad we got it resolved. Not sure what the problem was. Maybe it was clearing of the cache. Not sure. Password, goof up, you never know. Anyway, the trap trade. 13:59:55 on the activation. Stop is 25. That's a big stop for an ES. Tier 1. All right. Dan, I'm guessing you typed in the wrong password because it was confusing. The whatchamacallit, percentages. I shouldn't have done those. But it's all okay. It's no big deal. I'm just glad it got resolved. Tier 1 is 45. Tier 2, 60. All right. Our stop is 25, so we have to have almost 85 ticks of movement on this report. 85 ticks of movement. So if I was going to use the MES on this, I would just use, the MES. I would trade it the same on the trap, but I would double my stop to 50, and I would reduce the stop as soon as I could. All right? I wouldn't keep it at 50 unless you had to stay in, but if it could be reduced, I would reduce it down. That's a pretty big stop. Shouldn't be required, but the biggest risk of this type of an event is it could blow through, it could blow out our trap. It's possible. And then I'm going to label this trap ES. All right. So one more time. It's a trap trade. Right click the chart. Click on strategy. Double click trap trade. Trap trade's a reversal. We're expecting the software to take a reversal. If the price goes up, we sell. If the price goes down, we buy. Obviously, if it gets through our orders. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. That means one contract for each order, each tier, each bracket. Activate. Eastern time, 13:59:55. If you're in a different time zone than we are, use your local time. If you're in Texas and it's 11:46 right now, you would use 11:59:55. Okay? Stop is 25, tier 1, 45, tier 2, 60. We might get a very small move on this. You never know. Choose the account you're trading, apply it and okay it. Make sure your charts are on the account you're trading. All right. Now I'm also going to set up an ES reverse continuation. Right click the chart, click strategies, double click news trader, change the breakout to a reverse continuation. Just going to trade one position. It's $12.50 a tick on the ES. I'm going to use a 40 tick target. And I'm going to use, this is a scalp discretionary, a 40 tick stop. All you need for a reverse continuation trade is a position, a target, and a stop, right? That's it, nothing else. You don't really, everything else is a 0 up top. Then you go down to the bottom. The account, I'm trading that in the same account as my trap. I wouldn't use my ES discretionary trade until the trap trade's over. And I'm going to label it reverse REV continue. Just every setup gets a label. Then I'm going to apply it and OK it. We have a lot of new people. So why does every setup get a label? Because in the control panel, under the strategy tab, and make sure your strategy tab down at the bottom is the tab you've pressed so you see the strategy. Everything has a name. We have two setups, the trap ES and the reverse continuation. And if I need to cancel one of them or turn one of them on, I know exactly which setup is which. All right. Now I'm going to go a little crazy today. And I'm going to risk blowing up an account because that's my job. No, I mean because I like our setups. I like our setups. I think this is a lot of risk for a brand new master funded account. I don't want to start my brand new funded account on one of the riskiest trades of the year. So I'm going to trade this in a regular prop account. Now, the NQ breakout, you can see it's only been working about 50%. So it has some serious risk, okay? But look at what happens when it works. 200 ticks, 196 ticks, 212 ticks, right? When it works, it's great. So right-click the chart, click Strategy, News Trader. It's a breakout, and the activation time is 13:59:59. The bracket is 80, all right? If you want to save risk, you can trade this with one position. If you're just going to do it as per the DMN, position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1, target 1 is 40, target 2 is 80, the stop is 80, and if you hit the first target, you might want to do a target 1 stop move to BE, break even. Okay? That would be a 2-position trade. If you want to take less risk, you can trade 1 contract, 1 position. Position 1 would be a 1. The target, I would make it 100 ticks. All right? Or let's follow the DMM the way so it's easier for teaching. Use target 2 if you trade 1 contract on a 2-contract DMM. So we have 2 targets, but if you're only going to trade 1, your target 1 would be target 2 from the DMM, your bigger target. You don't use the target stop move because after you hit target 1, you're going to be taken out of the trade with a profit. Our stop is still 80. It's the same, but we're going to use a special feature in the software. If the market moves X ticks, move the stop a certain number of ticks to positive territory. So let's say we get a 50-tick move. Let's say 40 because target 1 is 40. So we'll do a little bit under that. If the market moves, if the market moves 40 ticks, we're going to move our stop to break even plus 30. So it's sort of like we're trading a 1-position trade, but it's acting like we had 2 contracts, and if the first contract got hit, at 40 ticks, it's going to move the stop to plus 30. The only difference between this and a two contract trade is it doesn't take you out if your move goes your way. It just moves your stop to try and protect profit. So starting from the top again, our activation is 13.59.59. 13.59.59. Okay, 13.59.59. 80 bracket. Position 1 is a 1. Target 1 is 80. The stop is 80. If the market moves 40 ticks, move the stop to 30 ticks above break even. That's what that does. Going to scroll down. We're going to test our bracket. So we're going to put the time on 0 for a minute. When we turn on a trade with 0 time, it's going to trigger the bracket. Okay, it's a little bit wide, so I'm going to shrink it. Turn off the trade. Right click, back to strategy. I'm going to put the time back to 13:59. That's our correct time. I'm also going to get rid of that line. That line's been bothering us. Show the vertical line on entry. Unchecking it. We won't have our line. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to trade in our same account, but I'm going to label it breakout NQ because that's what the trade is. Now, if I was trading this with the MNQ, everything stays the same. Okay, Roz, I got you. If everything stays the same, but we're using a 250 tick stop. I know that's a big stop, but it's only $125. It's not that big. It's big in ticks and it's big in points, but in money, it's very manageable. But it lets you survive a giant whipsaw. So label, breakout NQ, apply it, okay it. We've chosen the account we're trading in. All right. Okay. Make sure Chart Trader is on the account you're trading in and turn your trade on. Make sure you put your time back. I think that I did. And now I'm going to add a reverse continuation also for the NQ. Maybe none of our trades trigger, but there's a trend after. Like, for instance, maybe we'll stick around for the beginning of Powell's news conference. Maybe we won't, but maybe we will. All right, we don't usually. But a lot of times, once Powell starts talking, the market starts selling, according to Calvin, and we've seen it happen almost always. Strategy, we're adding a reverse continue. Right click strategy, double click news trader. We're adding a second strategy to the chart, different than our breakout. It's going to be a reverse continue. One position, 70 tick target. We're going to get a lot of movement probably today. 70 target, 150 tick stop. This is a scalp in a possibly very fast market. All right. And I'm going to label it. Reverse NQ continue, right? And we're going to put everything we're doing is in the same account. We're not going to be doing everything at once. We're not going to be trading 1,000 trades at once. We're giving ourselves opportunities. That's what we're doing. Apply it and okay it and turn it on. So what are our opportunities? And believe me when I tell you, we could have done an NQ magnet today, and it would be a great setup. Real possibility that it could work. Real possibility the market could be too fast to give us a good fill. That's one worrisome aspect about a magnet. It could jolt down to the low, and it could give you a bad fill, just like a breakout trade. You got to keep that in mind, even a magnet. can have a bad fill. All right. It could happen. That's why we love magnets in particular after the news or right before before the news, like we do in the mornings. But our opportunities here are the NQ breakout, MNQ, you're just using a bigger stop, 2.5, 250, 250 ticks. I know it's a lot of ticks. You could use 125 if you want. You don't have to use as big a stop as we use, but it'll allow you to survive a big whipsaw. Now, it is not, again, my goal here is not to scare everyone, but my goal is to be transparent. And transparent means that you have to be aware orders can freeze. Okay? We can get a frozen order when you put your orders on the chart. If that happens, you want to be aware that you might want to get your art trader, if you're a prop trader, able to be booted right away, or your art trader, you might want to be running it while you're trading. And a lot of people say, hey, I can't boot my art trader when I'm also trading. On the login screen with art trader, you can, if you disable your market data. Down at the bottom of your login screen, disable your market data, and that allows you to load art trader simultaneously with your NinjaTrader setup. All right. So I'm going to pay attention to the trap trade because that's the serious trade in my opinion. It is possible, we could just explode through our area. I hope not. More commonly, we get a burst and a reverse on these trades, and that's what I'm looking for. All right. Now, one thing that we never talk about, you notice there's these little buttons on the screen, on the chart. Most people don't realize it. BE is a break-even button, and they relate to each trade that you put on. Combine button combines multiple orders into one order position. So let's say you have two open orders and you want to make it easier to move all your orders at once. The combine button combines your open orders so that you can move them together. Here we go. Watching the trap. They cut 25 basis points. There's not much of a response here, folks. Not much of a response. I think I was gonna say, let's see. Okay, so it stopped us out on the NQ breakout. Not a very meaningful stop out. So that trade is over. That kind of bothers me. That kind of bothers me. You really don't have a trap trade, folks. It didn't trigger. It came just a couple of ticks away. If it goes up and triggers me on the downside, I would take it. I'm going to give it 30 more seconds. I don't want to be triggered long because the original move was up. Now, the truth is, it probably should be canceled as a trap. It's been a minute. We didn't get triggered. I'm going to cancel the trap. It's a minute and a half. We didn't get a burst. We did not get a burst. Bye-bye trap. All right. Now, we have two opportunities still. Just removing the trades I didn't use. We have a possible reversal continuation on the NQ. I don't see a trade at the moment. We have the same thing on the ES. But at the moment, there's really not a lot of serious price action that's giving me the motivation to enter. There's not a working squeeze with any momentum yet. It does look to me I do think we're going to test the high rather than the low. That's what I think. That's what I think. I'm not positive, not sure I'm willing to put my money where that is, but I'm tempted to take a long on the NQ. If we pull back and I can get an entry, maybe right above these candles here. Let's see if the squeeze will maintain its move up and the candles go green again. Right now, you know what? This is not easy today. It's looking short, right? Now it's looking short. You got a big change in direction. Let's see if we can get a couple of bucks short on the NQ. I think it'll push down a little bit. Let's go. Push down a little bit. I think the ES, when you get that close to the low, there's a real propensity to test it. Now the NQ is further away, and that's worrisome. You want to be above, I want to be above those candles. I do want to be above those candles. Now, we're not getting very much follow through. We're not getting much follow through. We're just getting that choppy behavior we've had all morning, all day, really. Now, I just took like a $50 scalp. All right. I'm waiting now to see if anything else happens. I think we're going to get closer to the lows, but let's see what happens. That was only like a $50, $60 scalp. There's not a lot going on price wise. There's not a lot going on. And we're kind of tight. Look, here's the high on the ES. The low on the ES is a double magnet, PP and low of day. Normally, that would make me more positive that we're getting a test of the low. But it just seems like these markets are so darn bullish. It's hard to go short. However, think about what you would do if you were trading a magnet. You wouldn't get in probably until you're about 69.28, you know? I think we're going to test this low. That's what I think. You, your stop's got to be above the VWAP. You got to be above the VWAP if you're going to test that low. I don't know if this scalp is going to work. My life isn't going to end if it doesn't. I'm going to look dumb, but my life isn't going to end. My stop's above the VWAP. And it's pretty choppy. Right now, the squeeze is still in our favor, but the price action is not. It's not like the market was so bullish that there's no hope to test the low. The low was not that far away either. It was not that far away. Yep, the volume is not ultra impressive. I think everybody expected what happened, and that kind of takes a lot of the pizzazz out of the activity. Not loving our price action here at all. Not loving it one bit. I did not have a good day scalping today at all. Very small move from the original news. That was not a very good move in general. Yeah, almost like a non-event. Almost like a non-event. And it's really working against us. It's not going to work. It really looks like it's going to fail. Obviously, if it breaks the VWAP, I'm dead. If it breaks the VWAP, I'm going to lose. Now, the squeeze is definitely working against us. It's definitely not working on our side. It's pretty much not much happening here. And you notice the downward moves are much worse. They're not as good as the up moves. So I'm just watching. I'm not feeling very good about my trade, but there's just not a lot of motivation. Now the ES is up a little bit. It's not a monster up today. And we do have earnings after this. We will be back at 3:30 for Microsoft, Google, and Meta. Microsoft, Google, and Meta. So, see, Roz, not all my scalps are winners. Yeah, Roz made 1,200 on her morning trade. Why give it back when the opportunities are not the highest quality opportunities? That's really an honest question. Today's earnings are more difficult than normal because there's so many companies being released together. So you have to take that into account. Why not keep your bonus, keep your big profit, and then go with tomorrow? Tomorrow we got Amazon and Apple, two earnings that trade by themselves that offer some of the best opportunity for profit. So that's a really good day to trade tomorrow. Now, I still have a plan for today's earnings. I think I have a good plan, but it doesn't make it easy. It does not make it easy. Okay, Roz. One of the hardest things about trading is what's the word? Fear of missing out, FOMO, right? A lot of times people will trade just because they're afraid of missing something. But honest, that's you really want to trade when you have good opportunity. Some of the worst trades we take are trades with bad opportunity. And we just trade because, you're addicted to trading or you don't want to miss what you think will be a good move. But sometimes the opportunity is just not that great, and it's not easy to say no. So we're waiting to see if there winds up being a test of the low. We survived the VWAP by a few points, and now we might get our VWAP, our low test. It might not go as far as we want it to go. You can exit the trade now if you wanted to, right? Now I think our odds get better that the low's going to get tested because maybe it failed to the upside. Maybe the market wants to test that low. Before Powell speaks, and then it'll do something else. Remember what I said this morning that if you take a trade and it goes really far against you, but it doesn't stop you out, you can add a contract. So instead of just watching it then start to go in your favor, you've added a position. You've got to be willing to double your risk, but it's very easy to do to an existing strategy. I would have just pressed the sell market button, and then I would update the number of stop orders and the number of buy orders. And instead of being still negative now by a few cents, I would be very positive because I would have made money on the move all the way down, all the way down. But you have to have 100% faith in your trade to do that because you're doubling your stop. Now, it is a little bit frustrating to get all the way back to our entry, right? And then it pivots off the entry. And now we're heavily negative again. That is frustration. Well, it did break the VWAP um, on the trade, on the event, don't you think, Francis? In other words, it blew through the VWAP on the news, but it was after the news. That wasn't the immediate burst. That was after. It wasn't a burst that high. It got there, but not instantly. It wasn't instant. But that doesn't change the fact that it still went pretty far through the VWAP. To me, that was a break of the VWAP, but you could say it was a failure, definitely, because it came right back down in the same minute. And now I'm feeling negative again because you got this bullish price action. We almost had it. We almost had it. Right. It never closed above it. Just watching. It's been a really good World Series. I like the players, the individual players on the Dodgers better. I mean, I love Otani. I love, is it Yakamoto, the pitcher who went 9 innings? I love that guy. I love their rookie reliever, the other Japanese pitcher who's great. How can you hate Freddie Freeman? I mean, the guy just is a quality ball player. Um, the Dodgers, they just have such a great collection of players, but I prefer Toronto. It's just more fun when a team that doesn't have nearly the payroll. I mean, the Dodgers get all the great Japanese players because they don't want to play on the East Coast. They certainly don't want to play in Canada. The Japanese players like to play on the West Coast. But how can you not love Otani? I mean, even though he looks like he takes steroids, and we know he's probably an unbelievable gambler, probably his interpreter is in jail when he shouldn't be. It probably should be Otani in jail. But how could you not love the guy? He's an amazing, amazing player. Once in a lifetime does a guy pitch and bat and do what he does. It'll probably be another 100 years before you ever see anyone who does what he can do. It's just, it's once in a lifetime, and it's fantastic to see. But I just can't root for the Dodgers. I cannot. I can't. Who's the guy that got hurt? Springer? Is that the guy that got hurt? I mean, he's a good ball player. I mean, the Dodgers just have good players. They have good players. The Blue Jays, these guys come up, they all look fat and overweight, and I don't haven't heard of any of them, and I'm a baseball fan. I don't know who they are. And I like their manager. He seems like a pretty nice, reasonable guy. And there's just something, but I hate the Blue Jays because in 1993, Joe Carter hit that home run off of Mitch Williams to beat the Phillies in Game 7. And I'm a Phillies fan. And there's no way I could ever really love the Blue Jays because they broke our hearts in Philadelphia. in a way that we'll never recover from, ever, ever. It'll always be one of the worst days ever. And the funny thing is, everybody in Philly, they forgive Mitch Williams. Joe Buckner, when he let that ball go through his legs, the Red Sox game, he wasn't forgiven for years and years and years and years and years. And that was all anybody ever remembered him for. But Mitch Williams, he was immediately forgiven. I don't know. It was just he was really loved as a player, as a relief pitcher. And even though when you think about Mitch Williams, he gave up the worst home run ever, he's completely loved and forgiven by Philadelphia fans. They love him here. I love him. And it's just funny. I don't really totally understand why he was forgiven. But I love baseball. Really love baseball. Something I love it. I loved it from the day I was a little kid, playing Stratomatic in my room, playing baseball in the street with my friends, going to camp every summer and playing softball like lunatics. I loved it. And we can't buy a break here. We can't buy a break on this trade. Cannot buy a break. It'll go to our entry and it just can't break our entry. Now, part of the problem is that entry is last night's futures open. So it's a little bit of a tough level to break. I remember those Spalding balls too. Yep. And we played a lot of wiffle ball too. Wiffle ball was fun with those crazy yellow bats. And it's still around. Now, cricket's a sport I never played. Don't get it. Looks kind of silly, but I used to think soccer was silly. So now I love soccer. I know. I don't like the name cricket. It's a bad name. It's like pickleball. Pickleball's stupid. Forever stupid because it has the stupidest name. You can never say you're a pickleball player and be respected. Sorry. It just doesn't work. Pickleball. Oh, God. Save me from that. So we're just waiting to see if this trade will end one way or the other. You can get out here with a small loss. I'm tempted to exit because it's just not going the way we want. Yeah, it's chopping around, but the only thing we have in our favor is usually when Powell talks, the market goes down. And if we can survive 5 more minutes, he's going to start talking. And if things go to plan, the market might go down. Yeah, I don't buy dogs. That's number one. I'm not buying a labradoodle or a cockadoodle or a poodle doodle or an anything doodle. It just doesn't really want to test the low. I mean, that seems pretty clear. If it wanted to, it would have. It doesn't want to. Maybe it wants to wait for Powell. It's trying, but it's just not getting there. No, I'm sorry to hear that. What's the problem, Arthur, that you don't like it on mobile? Hey, everybody on YouTube. So there's just not a lot going on, folks. So I'm going to end the stream, and I want to thank everybody for watching. Hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're streaming. All right. And we should be streaming tomorrow, probably the market open. And I'll see everybody on YouTube tomorrow. So thanks for joining us. And let me put in a link. We have a webinar tomorrow at Traders Corner, and it should be pretty interesting. So let me just get the link, and I'll post it in the YouTube chat. In fact, I'll post it in the trade room chat if I can find it. So I don't know if my chat, I can't get my darn chat working. Something happened when the update was done. So I can't get it posted. I'm sorry, folks. So next time, we're sending emails anyway. So if you got here on an email, you'll get an email for that link. So take care on YouTube.